Welcome back, friends. So we are learning about evaluation of training effectiveness or measuring training effectiveness. So friends, up till now we have learned that what is training effectiveness, why it is important to measure training effectiveness, and what are the key challenges that organizations generally face while measuring the effectiveness of their training programs. So continuing further, we will now discuss about the process of evaluation of training effectiveness. So the processes of training evaluation, it can be divided into 5 major steps. The first step is identify the purposes of evaluation. The second is align the learner outcomes to performance and business outcomes. The third step is identify the right metrics and the key performance indicators or the KPIs. Then you must select the relevant evaluation method, and finally you analyze and report the results that you have attained. So friends, we are going to learn about each of this step in a brief manner. So the first step, as I said, is identify the purpose of evaluation, why you need to evaluate the effectiveness. So before developing evaluation systems, the purpose of evaluation must be determined. It is important because this will finally affect the types of data and the data collection methods. So you must be very clear why you are evaluating your training programs effectiveness. So the most common reason for evaluating any training program may be to determine the effectiveness of training programs in order to improve future programs. So if you are imparting a training program and if you do not evaluate it, you will not know how to improve it for future programs. So evaluation can help learn from experience of the past training programs. For example, we may want to know which parts of the training were successful and which were not. So what training modules were liked by the trainees and which were just okay, and we need to improve our approach. So we can use these lessons learned to improve the plans for future training programs. In addition, the accountability may be one of the reasons for evaluating training programs. So apart from the benefits, we also must be clear as to who is accountable for the training programs. So evaluation can increase the accountability of implementing agencies to concerned stakeholders. So the second step in the process of evaluation is align learner outcomes to performance and business outcomes. So it is very important that if I am being trained, so the outcomes of my training must be in sync with what the organization wants to achieve. If my skills or my training has no relation with what organization wants to achieve or the performance of the organization, then the training is of no use. So that training is just helping me perform better, but it is not ultimately helping the organization achieve its goals. So as I have my own goals, these goals must also be in sync with the goals of the organization. So when these goals are not aligned, people do not know what to do. So continuous learning enhances the performance of the workforce. However, the changing workplace dynamics, including the gig workers, the remote working setups, the mobile and socially interactive work groups, and the use of external consulting or contractual staff makes it hard to craft learning as a one-size-fits-all strategy. So there can be different people having different needs of training. So one training might not impact all the people to the same degree or to the same level. So that alignment has to be there. So individual learner group, they needs to be integrated with business outcomes and into every learning program. Otherwise, training strategies will be ineffective at driving performance. So we must have an alignment between training and the business outcomes. So the third step in the process is to identify the right metrics and the key performance indicators. So use specific training metrics such as the number of employees trained, including the virtual and the on-premises, then assessment scores, learner feedback, dropout rates, and training hours logged to track the progress of each learner. By identifying the tracking right KPIs and combining them with the business metrics, learning and development leaders, they can support the organization to drive critical organizational strategies and tactics. So some of the examples of indicators that can help in measuring training effectiveness can be new skills and knowledge, the learning experience, employee happiness, cultural impact, efficiency impact, or it can be any financial impact. So these can be certain indicators that help you to measure training effectiveness. So the fourth step, friends, is select the right evaluation model. So there are various types of training evaluation models available, and each model targets different areas. For choosing the best model that will fit needs of your evaluation, there are 4 commonly used training evaluation models. So these are the Kirkpatrick's levels of evaluation. The second one is the Anderson's model of learning evaluation. The third is the Phillips ROI or return on investment model. And the fourth is the Cairo model, which is an acronym for context, input, reaction, and outcome. So we will learn about these models also, but first we will complete the process. So the fifth step in the process of evaluation is choosing the right method and collecting the data. So training evaluation methods, they refer to approaches in collecting the data. So once training evaluation's purpose, technique, and measurements are identified, the next step is to choose the right method or tools for collecting the needed information related to the training program. So some of the common methods of collecting information are questionnaires, survey tests, interviews, focus group discussions, and observations. So let's learn about each one of them briefly. So what are questionnaires? Well, questionnaires are a set of questions that are commonly used for gathering statistical information from participants on a particular topic. It can be used as a tool when conducting surveys for trainees after the completion of training program. So you usually draft a questionnaire and give it to the trainees so that they can fill or answer those questions, from where you can get the data as to the effectiveness of their training program. The second method can be interviews. So this can be conducted either face to face or it can be conducted online, or you can even conduct a telephonic interview. Now this type of method of data collection, it allows practitioners to delve deeper into responses of the participants. It also helps provide practitioners with more valuable and detailed information on employees' experience with training. So you can just ask questions about the training modules, the methodology, or the content of the training, and you can have an interview recorded. The next is the focus groups. So focus groups are facilitated discussions among a small group of participants who underwent same training program. So if say 10 people underwent a training program, so I will just form a focus group of those 10 people and I will just have a quick discussion with them as far as the training effectiveness is concerned. It is helpful if goal of practitioners is to explore participants' insight and feelings towards the training and to gather some feedback on how training can be improved. So you can just ask the trainees some questions about how to improve the training that was imparted, or what was their response, what was their feedback about the training that was imparted to them. The next method of training evaluation collection of data is observation. So this method is done by observing participants' behavioral change in a workplace setting. So for example, I did not have a good communication skills, or my communication, especially the verbal communication, was not very good. So after being trained on a communication skills, my trainer or my superior might observe my behavior at the workplace to observe whether there is any change in my communication or not. So if you feel that okay, my communication has improved, so that means the training has been effective. So the practitioner or assigned evaluator will observe how they complete the tasks or engage with the processes and team activities. So friends, the sixth step in the process of evaluation is analyzing the data. Now once you have collected the data, the final step is to analyze data and report these findings. So there are many ways to analyze data, but analysis should be as simple and possible, and it should be limited to what is necessary to draw the required conclusions from data. So a large amount of data would be collected, whether it is through focus groups or even questionnaires or surveys or observations, but you must be very clear as to what is to be reported, what is necessary, and try and make the analysis and the report as simple as possible so that it can be understandable by the people who want to gather information from that data. So before writing an evaluation report, consider your target audience. So some people may just want an overview of the key findings, while others may want a detailed information because they are making crucial discussions about the training programs. So determine what kind of information will be relevant and useful to your target audience. So report only that what is relevant and what is required. So sections and questions that can be used for your training evaluation form can be the program objectives, like were the program objectives clearly defined? You can ask your trainees, so were the program objectives defined clearly? Or did the facilitator cover all program objectives? Then you can ask questions on course content and relevance, like was the material of the right level of complexity for your background, or was the course material well organized? Does the course material help support course objectives? Was there alignment between the material and the objectives? Was the content relevant to your job or role's needs? So by getting answers to these questions, you can definitely analyze the data. Then you can also ask questions about the facilitator's knowledge or the trainer effectiveness. So did the facilitator or the trainer demonstrate a good understanding of the topic? Was he effectively delivering the program? Was he able to generate participant interaction and safe learning environment? And you can also ask, is the duration of session appropriate for content objectives? Then you can ask questions relating to program evaluation, that is what we are talking of, the evaluation or measurement of effectiveness. So, was the assessment a fair representation of program content? Did the role plays or simulations give a fair representation of the program content? Then you can also ask questions related to facility, the place where the training session was imparted. So, did the training area have adequate lighting? Was the temperature comfortable and conducive for a learning session? Did the participants have access to computer or tools to simulate and have kinesthetic practice? So, all these questions can help you get and analyze more effectively, and you can report in a very simple and an efficient manner. So, measuring effectiveness of training. So, anytime you deliver training to your team, you need to know how effective it has been. Are your people putting their learning into practice? Is it positively impacting their role and the wider organization? So, friends, measuring effectiveness of training is a very crucial topic as far as the training and development of the employees is concerned. So, we will be learning about what are the methods which can help you measure the effectiveness of training programs. So, as I already stated that we are going to learn about these 4 methods of effectiveness measurement. This is the Kirkpatrick's levels of evaluation, the Anderson's model of learning evaluation, then there is the Phillips ROI model and the Cairo or the context input reaction and output model. So, we will be discussing about these topics in the subsequent lecture. So, as far as today's lecture was concerned, we learnt about what is training effectiveness. So, whatever training an organization imparts, you must measure how impactful it has been or whether it has been impactful or not. What all changes you need to make in your training program. Is it the content? Is it the facilitator? Is it the timing? Is it the frequency of the trainings? At times there are so many training sessions that employees might feel disinterested. So, what is it that makes your training effective? That has to be measured, and that measurement has to be in sync with the goals or learning outcomes of the training program. So, if the training program objectives are X and your objectives are Y, so X and Y do not match. So, that alignment, friends, is very important. Then we learnt about what are the key challenges of measuring the effectiveness of trainings. And then we learnt about the process. So, it is a 5-step process of measuring training effectiveness.